Hello and welcome to the Network Automation Nerds podcast, where we explore the latest in network automation from a practitioner's perspective. I'm your host, Eric Cho, a network engineer who loves everything about network automation. I am super excited to bring you today's episode, which is sponsored by Cisco. We're diving into Cisco's campus network automation and exploring a game-changing new tool that just went GA'd, Cisco Workflows, an AI-powered network automation tool. Joining me today are Stephen Orr, Distinguished Solution Engineer, and Reed Butler, Product Manager for Cisco's new workflows tools. Let's jump in. Stephen, with nearly 3 decades at Cisco and your journey from West Point to Distinguished Solution Engineer, what's kept you passionate about campus networking for all these years? I mean, 3 decades, that's a long time.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for having us on. What I can really say about campus networking is the rapid change in pace of how new technologies are being integrated into the campus. The way things have evolved over the years, where we've moved from networking just being kind of something to transmit email to now it's in everybody's daily life and it's a utility for everybody to use. So really been an exciting journey. The campus automation piece, back when I started, we kind of did everything on Excel spreadsheets and paper.
It's the copy and paste tool.
It was a copy and paste. We had notepads full of text edits, and then we would just copy and paste from the config. So I'll say prone to a lot of human error, prone to a lot of challenge. But like I said, really, and it's always the opportunity to reinvent yourself dealing with campus networking as we pull more technology into the enterprise from other locations. So it's a really great journey.
So it's not 1 year times 30. It's really just keep on changing.
Yeah. Like I said, every year it's something new. It's some new exciting technology. It's not just faster speeds and feeds. It's getting into integrating wireless. Again, when I started, wireless wasn't a big thing. So now it's part of everyday life, and the challenges it presents and how we integrate and automate our campus networks today.
Sounds awesome. Hey, Reed, so I would love to hear about the path you took to becoming a product manager for Cisco Workflows, especially. I would have to argue, say, nobody knows what a product manager do. So you got to enlighten us on that point. So what product or customer experience shaped your vision, kind of for this product and your path toward it?
Yeah, so I've been with Cisco for about 10 years now.
Amazing. Yes.
Prior to that, I was leading up product management at a couple of startups in semi-related fields, predominantly in broadcast media. But what attracted me to Cisco was just the sheer scale and the ability to work with so many different customer segments and have so many different opportunities to actually shape how customers actually interact with the core infrastructure that drives their day-to-day business. That was really exciting to me. So when I joined Cisco, I moved between a couple of different products over my lifespan. And right prior to taking over workflows, I was working on a managed service provider focused product that is no longer available, but really the focus was helping our managed service partners create services at scale in a really repeated, automatable fashion that they could in turn then resell out to end enterprise customers. So I had a lot of background in automation, and when Cisco acknowledged that we needed to have a solution to help our customers from an automation perspective to really kind of help streamline their operational processes across all of the different systems, I joined the team to help kind of provide some guidance and insight. And once we kicked off the initiative, my team took over the product management responsibility kind of end to end of bringing workflows to market. So all the way from original requirement definition, use case work, user experience research, working with hundreds of our customers to kind of understand their specific automation needs when it comes to infrastructure, both across campus, branch, cloud, on-prem, all of the different variants of it, and kind of pull all of that together to define what is it that this set of capabilities needs to do to best meet the needs of our customers as they look into how to simplify their overall operational procedures when it comes to infrastructure management.
So yeah, I have a question. So as an individual contributor, right? So this is out of my curiosity. What surprised you the most when you move into product management?
Yeah, there's a great joke around that product managers, we have none of the authority, but all of the responsibility.
I've heard that. Yeah.
We always joke about that.
Yeah.
For me, what was really the best part about it, and the part that I was not surprised by, but really gets me up every morning is I'm a problem solver.
Mm,
And as a product manager, my job is to help our customers and help us as a business define market facing problems and help our customers improve both processes, technology, tooling, everything else. And for me, the most exciting part is seeing our customers adopt it
mm.
and seeing how our customers actually are able to change the game in the businesses, whatever they may be, whatever their vertical actually is, to see them be able to take something like workflows, automate their operational procedures, make themselves more efficient to allow them to innovate in the areas that are core to their business. Get them out of the day-to-day drudgery of updating this file and updating that file and clicking this box and this UI and being able to automate that. For me, the biggest surprise is how we get to see those customers leverage these capabilities over and over again and the transformational impacts that our products have on those customers.
I mean, speaking of which, right, Cisco workflows and campus automation, you two work really closely together, Stephen from the SE side and Reed from the PM side. So how do you see workflows relate to campus automation and vice versa? So maybe we could start with you, Stephen.
Yeah. So I think Reed touched on a couple different points there where one, it's really all about operational simplification, really trying to, help the network operator in a very complex environment be able to, one, decrease the time it takes to roll out a capability, right? We see this all the time where it's kind of that time to value. How do we get capabilities rolled out? And the other word is consistently
Yeah.
for the customer end to end, because no one's looking at just a simple one place in a network. They're looking from end user application all the way across the network to the data center or to the cloud. How do we enable that consistent configuration? And I think really that's the part where Reed's team has come in to be able to help take some of that, I'll call it cross domain, and even inside Cisco, right? So we have campus WAN, and security and data center to be able to take that and be able to create models where we can have that consistent capability and configure end to end is a huge lift for customers to be able to get towards that operational simplicity and abstraction. Because that's the other piece really is abstracting some of that configuration complexity from the end users.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. The ability to have that repeatable process tied in with the governance structure and operational processes within an organization is you're making modifications across campuses as you're trying to automate those day-to-day tasks, ensuring that you're getting the same outcome. You're bringing up a branch, a campus consistently, reliably, and you can trust that process by pretty much eliminating human error and test that process over and over again. Really ensures you're getting the most optimal configuration for whatever it may be, campus, branch, whatever else, and doing that in the most simplistic way possible, as Steve mentioned. So yeah, we work really closely together on this. He works closely with a lot of our customers to understand their needs and exactly how they're implementing this technology. And then my team partners with him to make sure that we're supporting them with the right feature sets in our automation capabilities.
Yeah, it's almost as if we talked about it as if it was like the networking is one uniform thing, and all of us know it's not, right? Like it's these cross domain, and people just care about my network is down, but we know it could be the device, it could be layer one, layer two, layer three, layer four, it could be security, it could be just a controller, wireless, whatever it is. And that cross domain piece is really important. And where, you guys both touched on, Stephen on understanding customer requirements, being in the trenches, and Reed, you just, kind of tying those together. So let's talk about campus network automation a little bit. And Stephen, I'm curious, is that just say we're a automation curious team, right? Like we've been doing stuff for a long time and we're just kind of curious about this new thing on the horizon. How should this team approach network automation in your opinion?
Yeah. So, I mean, Reed and I just worked on a project like this. You kind of look at some of the tasks that are repetitive, and then you dig into those tasks and you see that there's a lot more underneath, kind of like the old iceberg conversation, right? There's so much more underneath that's going on than just what you see, at the surface, right? So, when folks are like, hey, I just want to spin up a new SSID on a campus network, there's so much more involved underneath that most people don't pay attention to, right? So I've got to spin up an SSID, set a security policy, attach it to a VLAN, attach it to a DHCP pool, routing, and all the way back through to authentication and guest access and other features. So to be able to take something like that and automate every step of that process so that you go through once to come up with the automation capability, and then it's repeatable. If I have multiple sites, I have multiple locations, it's kind of a one stop where I can go use the tool, in this case, a workflow, enter in my information, and it goes out and it talks to every piece of gear or every controller that's out there and pushes that same repeatable config with the variables that you may need depending upon each site. So again, Read seems taking a lot of the potential for human error out of there. So again, what I would say is, start small, look at those repeatable tasks that you may do over and over again, and then see how to put some governance in that automation around it, to get towards that operational simplification.
Yeah, we often find that even the most simple processes are the ones that have the most amount of human error because humans are so accustomed to it. Like spinning up an SSID. Steven's done it probably more times than any human on Earth, but he makes mistakes because he knows it like the back of his hand and he's moving quick. He doesn't have to put the thought process into it. It's almost like muscle memory, but mistakes are made. You forget to put the radius server authentication in correctly. Boom, you just forgot that one step. The end product doesn't actually work. And that's where we really see the value in being able to get predictable, repeatable outcomes successfully every time, removing that human element. I've been working for years to remove Stephen from all of my human element conversations. So far, I haven't found that yet.
I guess the redundant task, Steven, right? Like we want the architect, the high intelligent design driven Steven, but the ones that have forgotten more about wireless than most of us have learned about, that we could kind of offload it to workflows in this case. But it's not just the predictable outcome, right? You also mentioned, in our, preparation for this episode about Cisco validated design and about the best practices. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah. So one of the things with these automations is making sure that you're setting up the configuration properly. And one of the things that we really wanted to focus on from a workflow perspective is giving our customers templates and best practices. Cisco publishes Cisco validated designs. We published them since the dawn of time. They're usually very long documents that outline best practices around setting up specific things. Those were static documents that customers would have to then follow and try and interpret into their specific organizational practices. What is the VLAN? We recommend 20, but that specific customer wants to put it on 30. Fine. What we wanted to do with workflows, the term we use is basically bring a Cisco validated design to life.
Mhm.
So make it executable, make it as a template that you can come in and see the best practice for spinning up a branch. We call it the unified branch. That's one of the capabilities, is actually spinning up a full branch architecture with Cisco's best practices for all of the configurations. And Workflows provides a very simple, low, no code, drag and drop user experience. So you can take that template from Cisco, look through the steps and go, yeah, I don't need that one. I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to change this value. I don't put my VLANs on 40. I want these wireless APs on 50. Whatever you need to do, make the necessary changes without having to understand the API structure, without having to understand the data model, without having to understand any degree of coding, and then be able to execute that repeatedly over and over again, as well as tying that into third-party systems like ServiceNow, OpenAI, Infoblox, NetBlocks, whatever that may actually be, to get the comprehensive data necessary to complete that task truly autonomously without requiring a human to go log into another system to complete one specific element.
Yeah, I love the fact that you talked about integration and you talked about, having a best practice. It's almost like having a good default, right? Like if you're a experienced architect like Steven is, then you're, like we said, he forgot more about like designs than we ever learned. But at the same time, you would have like somebody like me who's implementing something new for the first time. And I'm curious about, yeah, should I do 20 or should I do 120? Right? Like, I want a good default. And so that's where that Cisco validated design comes in, where for lack of other information, for my domain specific enterprise information, I could follow a good design and I could follow something that's trusted by others. Any thoughts on that, Steven? Any concrete examples you want to overlay on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, some of the stuff that the team has done with workflows, from if we look at it from a customer lens,
Yeah.
the ability to accelerate those configurations and give them time back to be able to focus on other things than just the initial configuration allows the customers to do a couple things. One, allows them to adopt new capabilities quicker, also gets them out of reactive mode, like trying to troubleshoot, what did I configure wrong? Or I made this configuration change somewhere and things blew up in other places. So, I mean, it really does give time back to the network operator to then play a more forward-looking role into how the network architecture is going to evolve instead of, again, just sitting there on a keyboard, kind of banging out CLI commands, or I'll call it click fatigue, going through a UI, doing the same thing over and over and over again. But at the same time, not having us be I would say, API wizards, where we all have to understand all the different APIs that are in all the different products across the network. It's going to allow us a little bit more freedom to be able to do, as Reed said, kind of that drag and drop, kind of create the workflows and then be able to push them out. Even within the same domain, as most folks know, we have both cloud and on-prem solutions. And one of the great things Workflows does, it's able to translate it and push it out, same policy to a branch, to a large campus that may be using both our cloud and on-prem solutions. So it's pretty amazing that we're able to do that.
Yeah, it's really taking that guesswork and taking that snowflake at scale, right? Like, we all have the 2 a.m. in the morning. I just want to get something fixed and, go for it and go back to sleep. But at the same time, in the morning, I want to come back and fix that. And I want to do it in a way it's frictionless and, easy to implement so that I don't feel scared of doing that. And it seems like workflow is a great way to do that. So if we, just take you back to the beginning on the designing the workflow, I think it's relevant in the ways that your design principle, right? Was there like an aha moment that you said, you talked about Cisco agreed that we needed this tool, right? What was that aha moment where, yes, this is it?
I don't know if it traces back to a single moment. I think we saw the market trends, obviously, as we've been talking about here, that in order to build kind of a world-class infrastructure spanning campuses, branch with security, wireless, routing, there's more and more elements that go into building that infrastructure effectively. It's not just back in the day, it was one router, one switch. You would configure it. Now, with tying in, overlaying products on top of it to get the best security offering, to get the best WAN optimization offering, to get the best IP address management systems, it requires tying all of those things together. And what we were seeing was a lot of our customers were either turning to third parties or trying to build out that expertise with Python and everything else in-house. And a lot of these people are networking experts. They understand the ins and outs of packets and the different layers and everything else. They're not well suited for managing production level code in a proper way. How do you do source code repository? How do you check out? How do you do a CI/CD pipeline? How do you do all of those elements? And if a lot of our customers are trying to run their large scale enterprise with Python scripts that are on Bob's laptop, and Bob goes on vacation and the network crumbles.
Yeah. Let's get Bob back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Bob never gets to go on vacation.
Yeah.
So the problem is our customers started creating kind of these single choke points in order to actually build a really robust network. And one of the things that Stephen talked about was sometimes customers aren't willing to adopt new technologies because it's another integration point and adds a certain degree of complexity. So by providing this drag and drop low no code editor that has native integrations across the Cisco portfolio and even third parties, our customers are able to optimize their existing processes. But actually, in my mind, the most exciting bit is really innovating and pushing their networks further by getting that new technologies, be it an external system, whatever it may be, integrated into their infrastructure in an incredibly simplified way.
All right. So being a Cisco tool, and I believe about, integration within Cisco. So that includes all the, Meraki's, the DNACs, and all the other portfolios of tools. But how does it play well with third party or external tools? I mean, you already mentioned Salesforce, right? So what other tools that comes to your mind that are big enterprise that you place well with Cisco workflows?
Yeah, so we obviously go across the Cisco portfolio. And again, our goal there is when you look at the user experience, you have a list of what we call actions that are basically outcome driven, like get me a list of my Meraki networks, update an SSID, create an SSID. Behind that is, of course, a series of API calls into each of those controllers, be it ICE, be it a security offering, Catalyst Center on-prem. But we wanted to use that exact same structure to be able to extend that to third-party offerings as well. So probably the most used example is ServiceNow.
Hmm.
We know that our customers manage their day-to-day operations, their incident resolutions, and even their governance processes inside of a tool like ServiceNow. So it was really important that we provide that same canonical model to actually integrate with those third-party systems. So in the same way that you're dragging and dropping over an action to say spin up an SSID, you drag and drop over an option that says create a change management ticket inside of your ServiceNow instance. And as that process executes, it reaches out and fires away and either creates a ticket or it can read data from a ticket, it can update a ticket, doesn't ultimately matter. We wanted to kind of identify the third-party integrations that our customers relied on the most. So things like Infoblox, NetBlocks, ServiceNow, OpenAI, Salesforce, the things that are really necessary to properly manage their infrastructure. We provided those baked in natively to the platform, but we also give our customers the ability to create their own, because a lot of customers have legacy homegrown applications for doing inventory management, or maybe it's a legacy IP address management system. They can actually create their own adapter to connect to any REST interface, define what those actions are, what those specific APIs are, and then anybody else within their organization can then just click and drag those actions in when they start creating their own automations. So it was really for us about providing kind of best practices and the most common use case ones, as well as providing tooling that our customers can do pretty much any degree of integration they need, as long as the endpoint is a REST interface. It's as simple as importing an OpenAI spec and you're good to go.
So I guess that would make Steven happy, even less clicking, right?
Even less clicking. But I think one of the key things for Reed is I think workflows gives us the ability to go from the low code, no code, kind of users like myself, all the way out to normal DevOps teams, right? I think there's something for every customer, every user. Reed's team has really geared workflows towards, whether it's, again, integrating to various other toolkits, bringing in Ansible playbooks. So it gives us a wide range of ways to meet the end user or meet the network operator. Again, migrating them from what might be a legacy toolkit that they might be using to be able to integrate into the Cisco product family.
Yeah, that's a good point, Stephen. Like we support the ability that, as we said, a lot of our customers have started down that path of doing Python development. You can actually run Python inside of workflows. So if you have a specific step that does a data transformation matching your ERP systems, data management system format, whatever else, you can drop in a bit of Python code, do the necessary customizations if you want. So if they are Python jockeys and that's their residency, they can wrap that inside of a workflow, make it executable within the controller without having to worry about the source code behind the scenes, or integrate it with other automation products like Ansible. So use Ansible to trigger a workflow, or use workflows to trigger an Ansible playbook and meet those customers with the tooling they already have.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because you touched the point on production grade software development earlier, right? Like anybody could write a script, but to have it, constantly tested, has it, backward compatible or, maintainable. And we talked about Bob, and Bob never goes on vacation. So it's almost like if you use workflows, you have this built-in segmentation or microservices intact where you have that the UI bit where you interact with the users. And then you have that, glue bit in the middle where you talk to the APIs. But then you have the drivers where you could develop that driver, as you mentioned, and everybody else in the organization could use it as opposed to me having to go sit behind Bob's, laptop and kind of copy and paste his script. So I love that fact about that you have this framework, almost like a code smell built in for you to actually implement your homegrown script and make it scalable, but at the same time conforms to security standards or whatever other enterprises standards that you need to conform to.
Yep, and that's exactly right. A great example of this is Stephen can actually create a workflow that does a campus bring up because he is the architect for that customer. He knows the ins and outs and everything else. But Workflows provides, because it's inside of the Meraki dashboard, full RBAC, so role-based access control. Stephen can create it and actually assign permissions that maybe a level one technician that doesn't have access to go make all those changes, they do have access to execute that approved workflow and be able to actually then we can alleviate Stephen as a senior level person, as you were talking about earlier, let him focus on the innovation, but have a level one operator be able to run that process time and time again, even if we don't want to natively give that level one operator full write access across the entire infrastructure.
One of the cool things that Reed hasn't touched on yet is kind of I'll call it the marketplace for being able to share, your workflow scripts. For me, that's huge for being able to learn kind of on the fly and look at what other people have done and use those as ways to kind of spawn out and do other, or add to, and then kind of give back to the community by making it available to other people that may want to use the same type of, or run into the same challenge that you have, that you want to automate something specifically.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought it up, Stephen, because I was watching the Cisco Live demo. I think there's two of them. And it was also mentioned in the keynote.
Yep.
One of the things I noticed was there's a lot of pre-made workflows, right? And then each workflow is broken down into components. and it's really slick. You could like click a drop and you could just like insert it at will. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that, Reed, on, just this, I don't know, do you call it marketplace or do you call it pre-made workflows or?
The exchange. So we have what's called the workflows exchange. So when you browse the workflow option inside of Meraki dashboard, you'll see an option for exchange, which is basically Cisco validated, those templates I talked about earlier, those bringing Cisco validated designs to life. They're packaged end-to-end business outcomes. So basically bringing up a branch, bringing up a campus, creating a new wireless SSID with PSK authentication. They're packaged end-to-end examples that customers can go in, look through, and we have classifications on there to say that this is Cisco created, this is Cisco managed. In the future, we'll have things where partners could potentially contribute to it. And it's literally as just like the App Store. You go, yep, I want that. You hit install, and it creates a version of that then in your own private workspace that you can then open it up and start editing it and customizing it to match your specific needs. And the beauty of that is as we evolve those and new APIs become available, we can rev those inside of the exchange, and any customer that's tied back to it will get notified. And there's a diff process that they can then take that updated version, integrate it with the changes that they already have made, and then be able to leverage those new capabilities as we keep those current over time, allowing our customers to really ensure that what they're downloading and what they're installing is backed by our best practices and supported all the way through by like Cisco TAC. So even if you want to pick up the phone and have an issue with it, somebody's there to help you support it because we stand behind the design as we laid out those automations.
Yeah, that's a great point. If it's backed by Eric, you don't use it, right? But if it's like Cisco with a star and like, it's supported.
Yeah, if I accept the ones backed by Steven, sometimes it's a little questionable if I might need to do a little extra testing, but
Yeah, we'll list Steven's home number on the screen or something like that, so if people could text it.
exactly.
I'll love to get all the phone calls.
Especially when you're on vacation in Maui and sipping your pina colada. That's the best time to receive like thousands of texts and go, oh, this should be a string, not a integer, right?
Yep. Steven, you should have set that value properly the first time. I told you about that. Now I'm picking up your vacation.
Hey, if you use workflow, maybe you will caught that, right when you check in and be like, yeah, you know what? That should be the integer.
Exactly.
Yeah, so in the beginning, like we mentioned, this is a AI power tool, right? So this is, late 2025. We have to mention AI at some point, but at the same time, I'm wondering about what is the differentiator? What is the AI differentiator for workflows? Is it agentic? Is it something else? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so there's actually a couple angles to this. First off, we know that all of our customers are loving the capabilities that AI and LLM systems provide. The ability to do data analysis, troubleshooting, asking questions around your infrastructure. But most of our customers are like, I'm not ready to yet turn over the keys to the kingdom and allow an LLM to have direct write access into my network. I'm sure we've all used ChatGPT or any other LLM, asked it to do something. It said, I'm going to do A,
Yeah,
and then it ends up doing B,
right.
even though it confirmed what it was going to do. So what we did was taking workflows as the engine, and then we integrate that directly with the Cisco Networking AI assistant inside of Meraki Dashboard and soon to be Catalyst Center. So as you're interfacing and asking questions about analyzing a client data, analyzing logs, what's changed since last week, you can then actually ask it to perform actions on your behalf. Like, hey, create a new SSID for this network with PSK authentication. The AI assistant then utilizing MCP servers will actually then find that there's a workflow that completes that action. And then it will actually guide the user right there via natural language to provide the necessary inputs, show the exact steps of what's going to happen, and then behind the scenes execute the workflow and then give the user kind of the output of this is what I completed. You now have this wireless network stood up. You can click on this link and jump over to it. So basically, it's matching that deterministic based engine into the natural language input of an AI assistant, kind of a chatbot, and bringing those two systems together. So anything you need to do on your network, as long as there's a workflow for it, the AI system can actually trigger it, and you're guaranteed to be getting the same results every time because it's been tested, it's been approved, it's been validated, and it's executed by that deterministic engine under the hoods. So step A, step B, step C are going to execute, and every time you get the exact same output. So that's kind of on the input side. What we did also recently is you can actually embed AI reasoning steps into a workflow. So if you want to say collect a bunch of client data, pull over your list of networks, pull over your list of clients, pull over all your VLAN information, you can take all of that and with a reasoning step inside of a workflow, pass all of that data over to an AI system, ChatGPT, doesn't matter, Claude, you get to define the LLM endpoint. Send that data over with a prompt that you get to provide when you're creating the workflow, and then leverage that data as it comes back in. And our customers have found really powerful use cases of utilizing workflow to actually analyze and collect a bunch of data from different systems together, package that up, hand it over to an LLM to analyze for troubleshooting, like what's going on with this client with all of this data. The LLM returns back a summary that then we feed into, say, a ServiceNow ticket. And that's actually one of my favorite use cases. One of our customers has done exactly that. When a ServiceNow ticket is logged into a specific queue, it fires an API into workflows, kicks off that workflow that collects data from 4 different systems, 3 of which are Cisco, one of them is a third party, collects all of this data. They then have a prompt that asks AI to take all of that data and summarize why a client can't connect or why something's misconfigured. And then it routes that information back into that original ServiceNow ticket, all via workflow. So by the time a level 1 technician puts eyes on that ticket, they have an exact breakdown of exactly what they need to do to fix that issue. We're bringing that power of AI into a deterministic based engine and really giving our customers kind of the best of both worlds. Step-by-step order of operations, but leveraging the power of what an AI LLM can actually do.
That's kind of interesting because, Stephen, I mean, before we click record, we're actually talking about how many steps and how complex things have to become, even just for Wi-Fi or something seemingly easy. But there's so many steps, and not to mention troubleshooting, right? As Bree mentioned, like you're polling in different locations. Maybe it's the log, maybe it's the flows, maybe it's, all these different devices. So, in your opinion, does that kind of solve your AI anxiety because it's so open ended, right? Like it does great at natural language processing, but I mean, for me, handing that key to the kingdom, as you mentioned, it's kind of unnerving. So, what are your thoughts on that, Stephen?
Yeah, so what Reed just described, I think, is really transformational because we get asked all the time. It's like, we need templates for these kind of configurations. What Reed just described is actually, well, instead of doing templates, right, which are static and kind of stuck in a GUI somewhere, we can create workflows and then use AI to be able to go retrieve those workflows in a natural language manner and then provide that configuration and get feedback. And it's dynamic. I mean, I think that's really the transformational piece to this is, if you need a new workflow, it's something you can go build and bring into the workflow community as opposed to waiting for Cisco to come up with a template-based rule set that you're going to have to go implement or wait for us to be able to push out and you to implement. So this is really, for me, for a lot of customers that I've been talking to about this, it's transformational for them. And it gives them that flexibility to be able to execute new capabilities and, again, launch things, as we were talking about before for wireless. Like, how can I automate the wireless access point to configuring the VLAN, to configuring the subnets, and all that stuff that takes time to be able to just make it part of a standard process and repeatable? It's a huge time savings for the customers.
Yeah, to me, it almost sounded as if it provides a guardrail for me. It has some built-in safety. So yeah, you can poke yourself in the eye, but it's gonna tell you. It's gonna say, hey, maybe back to that integer versus string example, right? But we extrapolate that into wireless and say, hey, maybe you shouldn't use VLAN 20, or maybe you should use VLAN 20. Whatever it is, it has some built-in guardrails, but it also has the ability to deal with open-ended questions because if it's black and white, cool. But if a lot of times it's not black and white, it's just gathering information and still requires a human being at the end, that tier 1 tech that you mentioned about, that I'm getting all the information, but I'm still exercising human judgment on what's actually wrong.
Yep. And workflow supports, I mean, the concept in the industry we talk about is human in the loop.
Yeah.
So even if you execute, say, a level 1 technician executes a complex workflow to bring up a branch location, you can actually design the workflow that somewhere in the process, it stops and seeks approval by, say, a level 2 technician and can send a summary to them of going, okay, Bob started creating this network. Here's all the baseline inputs. Are you ready to authorize him to go and fire off and connect and bring up the security console, yada, yada, yada? and allow somebody to go through that approval process as part of their business operational process. That could be in ServiceNow, that could be in Jira, it doesn't matter. It could be an email-based form. It doesn't ultimately matter, but again, allows the customer to determine their level of comfort in terms of autonomy. Do they want to put a person in the loop to do validation and checks? Or as that confidence grows, they can slowly start removing that human in the loop process and start having those execute automatically. Really gives you that flexibility that Steven's talking about going both ways.
Yeah. So I just want to say, Bob, if you're listening, we've been talking about you. It's like I often wonder how many times do we use Bob, John, or Acme, corporation, right?
Well, hopefully now we'll use Steven. We'll just change it to Steven.
You can throw me under the bus. That's fine. It's all good.
No, it's not throwing you under the bus. We talk nice stuff about you and just find and replace and say everything we talked about nicely. Use an AI agent and say, hey, substitute that with Steven.
If it's easy enough for Steven to do, then it's got to be good for everybody.
I've named all of my agents Steven. That's just it. It's Steven 1, Steven 2, Steven 3. Yeah.
I would name all of my good agents Steven and better agent Reed.
Perfect.
There you go.
I love that.
Yeah. So, looking ahead, I mean, we talked about workflows and it's already doing a lot of cool stuff. And as we mentioned, it's recently, general available to the audience. Looking ahead, what excites you the most about workflows, Reed? I mean, it's already doing a lot of cool stuff, but what's even better? What's exciting on the horizon?
Yeah, so I think that native integration with the AI assistant and with all of the work that Cisco's been leading in terms of AI from a networking perspective, how can we leverage Cisco's deep networking model, all of the thought process around kind of the most optimized LLM for networking applications? How can we integrate that and making it so when whoever the user is within dashboard looking to complete a task with the chatbots, they have the right tools and they can leverage the deterministic engine of workflows. They can leverage AI and put that actually into a workflow to make creation of workflows even easier. We start to see the cycle over and over again of utilizing AI to create workflows. You start seeing an exponential jump in productivity across an enterprise there. And I foresee the day where you're inside of your chat interface and you can literally do anything, reconfigure a BGP configuration and have it walk you through it, but be able to ensure that that change follows your governance processes, your operational best practices. You know that that ServiceNow ticket to your boss is getting logged and the transparency is being provided. And all of that's happening behind the scenes without you having to worry about it. That's where the true power of where I see workflows going. And as we extend into other domains, other third-party services, the sky really kind of becomes the limit in terms of what you can actually automate then and drive with the power of an AI engine behind it.
Yeah, it does sound very exciting because, it's almost like, yeah, we have these awesome foundational models with billions and billions of parameters, and they're good enough, but the workflows is almost like overlay on top, and you're the fine tuner that get you closer to your enterprise vision, your governance, and all of your workflows. So that's your fine tuner, that overlay on top of it, that makes it really personalized. And Steven, if somebody wants to get hands-on with, say, campus automation, what would be the first step? Like get workflows or I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I mean, that's actually probably the easiest thing, Eric, is, if you have a dashboard account, you can go out and use workflows today, get in, explore around on the already pre-existing workflows. Reed's team has created some great content out there for videos on the how-to for workflows. So there's a lot of material that's out there, but really the hands-on piece, getting into dashboard, launching workflows and just exploring is actually, it's a huge learning help, especially for me. I'm more hands-on, but definitely encourage everybody to go out there and give it a try.
Yeah, back to the guardrail thing, right? Because, you want to experiment with something, but you also want to have some safety built in so that, you don't poke yourself in the eye. At least if you do, easier to reverse that. But I think you mentioned a very key point is how do you get on board? How do you try it out? So really you want to bring a little bit on, is it free? Does it cost money? Yeah. How do people get started?
Yeah, so the goal of this is really to help our customers in any enterprise need improve their operational efficiency, build a more robust, stronger network. We view this as kind of a means of helping our customers take those great Cisco products, bring them together to create that robust infrastructure. So Workflows is actually a free set of capabilities within the Meraki dashboard. So if you log into dashboard right now, on the left-hand side, you'll see the automation menu, which is where Workflows is. You'll see the Exchange with the pre-built templates. You'll see your workspace that's already pre-seeded with a couple of sample automations in there, tying all of that together. Even if you don't have any Meraki devices, if you want to automate against a campus management within Catalyst Center, you can go in, create your link over to your Catalyst Center instance, and start creating your automations right there within dashboard today. So literally log in, create your dashboard account, and you're set to rock and roll.
I like that and I hate it because now you're taking all the excuses away, Reed. It's like if my boss is hearing this and go, hey, there's really no friction for you to go try it. It's SaaS based. You don't have to install anything. It's, semi-free. And yeah, so all that, you're taking all the excuses away.
You're thinking about it wrong, though, because what this is going to allow you to do is automate all of those menial tasks your boss is constantly asking you about, and allows you to innovate and show your boss some cutting edge, cool stuff that'll push your network forward. That's the real power there.
Should we give that a name like Bob's boss or
Steven's boss? We talked about that. It's Steven's boss.
It's my boss.
Steven's boss? Cool, cool, cool. This all sounds great. I really think it's a game changer. And I think, there's a lot of benefit. And as we said in the beginning, this general available, it's not even beta, right? Like there's just nothing in the way for you to go try it out. So I do want to ask, Stephen and Reed, is there anything that we, in the last 45 minutes that we talked about on workflow, network automation, that you guys want to mention that we did not cover, that you urgently feel the need to tell the listeners?
Mine's easy. I want people to play with it. And more importantly, I want feedback on it. Who have the option right there inside of dashboard to provide feedback, good, bad, ugly. We love seeing customer testimonials of going, hey, I automated this. It saved me 10 hours a week doing this. I, as a product manager, I'm always looking to make these capabilities better. If anybody has a suggestion on an improvement, functionality, whatever else, fire that feedback at us. We live, breathe, and die based on how our customers use our products. And I always love that input. So that's my only ask to everybody listening is get your hands dirty, start playing with it, and let us know.
How should they let you know? Is there like a feedback button?
Yep. Inside of Meraki dashboard, there's a button to provide feedback on all of the pages. Anything you do within the workflows pages will get routed to literally my team, and we will include it in upcoming releases.
Yeah, just a note, like not just negative feedbacks, right? If you love the tool, you should let them know too.
I love it.
Every time we do surveys, right, it's always geared toward like the extremes. And so, hey, just a pro tip.
Tell us that you've saved yourself hours. Tell us that you've been able to adopt a new third-party system and share all of the good, the bad, the ugly. We take it all.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything that Bree said. I think this is an opportunity, again, with being able to accelerate and automate things to encourage people to try to solve some old problems in some new ways, right? Take that automation, be able to, as Reed was saying, if I can get rid of some of the repetitive tasks, it gives me that opportunity to innovate and to jump ahead on rolling out new capabilities and services, things that you thought might have been difficult or challenging. With workflows, we're able to actually bring that simplification back and get you time back and be able to project you forward in what you're doing for Steven's boss in this case, to be able to bring more value back to the network and bring more value and the business value back to the end users.
And my favorite bit about the tool is actually this idea of enhance and not replace, right? Everything you spend your career learning, everything that you have your blood, sweats and just paying, all these combined that get you to where you are today, those are still valid and you could just leverage the tools and go further with it. It's just gonna having what Steve Jobs talked about, your mind on bicycles, right? This is your network engineering automation on bicycles. And it allows you to move further, faster with guardrails.
Guardrails is the big bit there. That's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for being here. I had a really good time just chatting about this cutting edge stuff. And do you want to share where can people find you, or they want to follow your work? Is it just the workflow page, or do you have like professional LinkedIn profile that you want people to connect to, or what?
I'm sure you can find Steve and I both on LinkedIn. Pretty easy. He's the only Stephen Orr at Cisco, and I think I'm the only Reed Butler at Cisco. We'll pop right up. And we're also both pretty active in things like the workflow community, which is customer facing. Lots of ways to get in touch with us. Yeah. log that feedback inside of Dashboard and say how much you love workflows. I'll take it. Get in touch with us that way.
Yeah, anything to add or we're good there, Stephen?
Again, as Reed said, only Steve Ora at Cisco, and same thing for Reed. So, please feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to have discussions with everybody on the topics of workflows and campus automation.
Yeah. Thanks, gentlemen, for being here, and really appreciate your time. Thank you for listening to this episode of Network Automation Nerds. For more on workflows and Cisco Network Automation, check out cisco.com/go/workflows. We'll have that in the show notes. And huge thanks to Stephen and Reed for joining us today and sharing the insights on campus automation and Cisco workflows. And thanks to Cisco for sponsoring this episode. Last but not least, remember that too much network automation will never be enough.